This is our challenge. For me, living a good life is trying to learn this knowledge of my tradition, which says that the real purpose of our existence here is to come to know God. Not in the way that angels know God, which is immediate knowledge, but to know God through difficulty, through hardship, through suffering. And in coming to know God, the soul is expanded. One of my favorite metaphors from the pre-modern world that was used in the Christian tradition, and I actually found it in a verse in the Quran in Surah Yunus, is the Wheel of Fortune. One of the most important works of the medievals was the Boethius book, The Consolation of Philosophy. And in the second chapter, he uses this metaphor of the Wheel of Fortune, fortuna, fate, that says in the tradition, you can't worship me. In other words, you cannot placate me. I do what I will. But in the Wheel of Fortune, and this is in the chapter of Yunus, where it says that we cause you to, nusayyirukum, like yusayyirukum means to cause you to go around, right? In the land and in the sea. And when you're in a ship and a good wind comes, everybody rejoices and is happy. But then they see a storm off in the distance, and then they begin to feel something. And then the waves begin to pile up, and until they think that they're going to be destroyed. And they call on God in absolute sincerity. Oh, just save us from this and we will be grateful. Right? This is the bargain with God when troubles happen. A lot of people do this, by the way. It's a very common event. But in the Wheel of Fortune, you had regno, which was I rule. And joy was the emotion associated with that. So farihu biha, it says in the Quran, they rejoiced in this. And then you have regnave at 3 o'clock, which is I used to rule. Right? So they're on their way down. And the appropriate response for that is fear. And then you have the 6 o'clock, which is I used to rule. Right? And then you have the 9 o'clock, which is regnabo, I shall rule. So it's this hope. Part of the purpose of these medieval people, and they understood this, was to get into the hub so that the wheel no longer affected you, to enter into the hub, the eye of the hurricane, so that the world and all of its vicissitudes and calamities and all of these hardships that happen in the world, that you're in this center of stillness. And that stillness, according to our tradition, can only come from the remembrance of God. And this is why if there is a fundamental sin in Islam, they debated on whether it was pride, which is the sin of the devil. But Imam al-Junayd said the fundamental sin of the human being is acedia. It's his distractibility. And boredom. Kierkegaard says once God is removed, people are left with boredom. And so they will pursue all these pursuits, what they called the early Christian desert fathers called the noonday devil. And when you read the descriptions of how the noonday devil afflicts them, you see that they're distracted and looking at the window. And see, like now, people looking on their cell phones. I was on the airplane 2 days ago, and I was sitting next to a man that was furious that the internet wasn't working, and said, how dare they advertise? I can't be off this thing for more than 15 minutes. And the whole flight, he was so agitated, like just moving. And this is what they call acedia, sloth, spiritual. It's a spiritual sickness, and it has afflicted our civilization to the utmost degree. We are afflicted with profound boredom, and we're constantly attempting to distract ourselves with drugs, with sex, with money, with pursuit of fame, pursuit of power, of all these things that the Prophet Muhammad said the truest thing that the poet ever spoke was that أَلَا كُلُّ شَيْءٍ مَا خَلَى اللَّهُ بَاطِلٌ. Everything other than Allah is vanity. Thank you.